This video takes you from absolute ground zero to using Excel with confidence. Accordingly, in just a few minutes, you'll know how to navigate in Excel, organize, format, and analyze data, as well as how to use formulas, giving you a solid skill to accomplish common Excel tasks, which are all explained and demonstrated step by step. Before we even open Excel, let's define it. What is Excel? Excel is one of the most widely used Microsoft tools for recording, organizing, and analyzing information. That information can be anything, which we'll see in a second. For now, think of it this way. If you want to collect, organize, and make sense of something, chances are you can do it in Excel. How? That is what you're about to see. To start from scratch, let's open a new Excel file. The most common way to open a new Excel is by clicking on the Windows Start button, which opens the Start menu you see here. Find the Excel icon and click on it. If you don't see it here, you can type the word Excel in one of the search bars, which brings the new Excel icon up top. Go ahead and click on it. That opens this interface where you can choose to open either a new blank Excel or one of these ready-made templates or an existing Excel file from down here. Since we are starting from scratch, let's open a new blank Excel. So, click on the blank workbook button. That gives you this new blank workbook. A workbook is the full Excel file where you will store all your work, and it has at least one worksheet, commonly called a sheet. A sheet is the main workspace in Excel, taking most of the central display area, where you enter and organize information. The name of a sheet is displayed at the bottom in a small tab, which, in this case, is Sheet 1. You can create a new sheet in a workbook by simply clicking on this Add icon. Notice, as I clicked on the Add Sheet button, this new sheet was immediately created and named Sheet 2. You can create as many sheets as you want. To go back to Sheet 1, click on the Sheet 1 tab. By default, Excel names worksheets as Sheet 1, Sheet 2, and so on. You can change any of those display names by double-clicking on the name, and then typing any name you like. Think of sheets as pages in a giant digital notebook, and think of a workbook as the notebook itself. The first thing you notice when you look at an Excel sheet is the vertical and horizontal grid lines. These grid lines form columns and rows. Each column is labeled with a letter, like column A, column B, column C, and so on. And each row is labeled with a number, like row 1, row 2, row 3, and so on. As these columns and rows intersect each other, they form many small boxes. These small boxes are called cells. Each cell gets its name from the intersecting column and row. For example, the name of this cell is C4 because it is in column C and row 4. Cells are where we enter data, such as numbers or texts, which we'll see in a minute. Another important term to know here is range. A range of cells is a group of cells, whether it is just 2 cells, an entire row, an entire column, or any group of cells. A range of cells is represented by the first and the last cells separated by a colon. For example, in this range of cells, the first cell is the topmost cell, which is C2, and the last cell is the one at the very bottom, which is C8. So, the name or reference of this entire range, including all cells in between, is C2, C8. If it is a horizontal range, like this one for example, the first cell here is the leftmost cell, which is C2, and the last cell is F2. So, the name or reference of this range is C2, F2. What if the range covers multiple rows and columns? Like this one here for example. The first cell is the top left cell, which in this case is C2, and the last cell is the bottom right cell, which in this case is F8. So, the name of this range is C2, F8. When working with cells, ranges, columns, and rows, you often need to select them first. What does selecting mean? Selecting a part of the worksheet means preparing that part for action. Whether that part is a single cell, a range of cells, an entire row, or an entire column. Shortly, you will see what type of actions or work you do after selecting them. But for now, let's see how you select or make a selection. To select a single cell, all you have to do is just click on the cell. Excel shows you a visibly bold border around the cell to confirm that the cell is now selected. To select an entire column, click on the header of the column on top. The column is now highlighted, showing that it is now selected. To select multiple columns, first click and hold on the first column. Then, drag your mouse over to the last column you want to select. The columns are now highlighted, showing that they are selected. Similarly, you can select an entire row by clicking the row header here on the left. Dragging down or up selects multiple rows. To select any range of cells, for example, B3 to D10, first, click on the first cell, which is B3, and then drag your mouse through the last cell, which is D10. Sometimes, though rarely, you may need to select multiple separate ranges of cells at the same time, like these two areas, for example. To select both ranges, first, select the first range normally, and then press the Control key on your keyboard to select the other range. Like so. Great. We will come back to the worksheet in a minute. Immediately above the worksheet, you find the name box on the left, and the formula bar, taking most of the horizontal space. The name box tells you which cell in the worksheet is currently selected, and the formula bar shows you what is inside that cell. Let's see what that looks like. Currently, the selected cell is D4, as you can see. So, the name box is currently showing us that cell reference D4. On the other hand, the formula bar is currently showing an empty space, because the selected cell is empty. If I make the selected cell hold something, like the number 100, the formula bar now shows that 100. If I make the selected cell empty again, the formula bar becomes empty as well. It works the other way too. That is, if you enter anything in the formula bar, the same thing will be entered in the selected cell. And if you delete it from the formula bar, it is deleted from the selected cell as well. So, again, the formula bar always shows you what is inside the selected cell. The formula bar has another important purpose, which you will see when we get to formulas in a minute. Now, let's see and use the ribbon. The ribbon is located on top of the worksheet. Think of the ribbon as your toolbox, organized in different containers called tabs. Tabs are what you see at the top of the ribbon. Clicking on a tab opens it and displays the tools contained in the tab. Let's now add some data in the worksheet and utilize the most common tools in the ribbon. The first question you may be asking is, how do we enter data into Excel? The primary and common method of entering data in Excel is simply typing directly inside cells. To type inside a cell, first click on the cell to select it, or use the arrow keys on your keyboard to navigate to the cell you want to type in. Then, start typing. After you're done typing in a cell, you can leave or deselect the cell by pressing Enter on your keyboard, or simply by clicking a different cell with your mouse. If you want to edit or change what is inside a cell without deleting everything, double-click the cell. That will put the cell in edit mode. Then, you can modify or edit whatever you want. To easily delete everything inside a cell, you can click on it just once and then press the Delete button on your keyboard. You may also be asking, why is an Excel worksheet split into columns, rows, and cells? The answer to that is because the primary purpose of Excel is to organize information in a tabular format. A tabular format means a list of things in rows and columns. You can display anything in a tabular format. For example, you can display your family members or friends, or a list of employees and their salaries, and so on, in a tabular format. Let's say you want to show employees of a company and their salaries in a tabular format. You can start at any point in the worksheet, but it is generally recommended to start from top left. For example, you can display the names of the employees in the first column and their salaries in the second column. So, first, label or name the columns. That means, in this case, we are naming the first column employee name and the second column salary. Then, type the data in the rows and cells below. In the employee name column, type the name of the first employee, for example, Brittany James, and type Brittany's salary in the salary column. And next, the second employee, that is, Stephen Robert, and Stephen's salary in the salary column. Let's enter a few more data. I'll speed it up to save time. Now, we just entered a simple data to start with. This employee data doesn't look clean yet. Let's fix that with formatting. Formatting means changing the look and feel without changing the contents or the data itself. For example, some of the text here are cut off, as the columns are smaller or narrower than the contents. There are several ways to adjust the width of a column. The easiest way is to click on the very top left corner of the worksheet to select the entire sheet. Then, double-click on any of the edges of the columns in the top. That automatically adjusts the widths of all the columns selected, so that all data, texts, and numbers perfectly fit inside all cells, as you can see here. To adjust the width of just one column, you can drag its edge until you are satisfied with how it looks. You can also add a new column at any point. To easily add a new column, select where you want to insert the new column and right-click. Then, select Insert. A new column is now added. Let's say you want to use this new column to show years of service of the employees. For example, Brittany's years of service is 9 years. Stephen's is 4 years, and so on. Now, when you want to delete a column, you can simply do that by selecting the column at the top and right-click. Then, click the Delete option in the context menu. The column is now gone. Let's undo that. To undo whatever you did in Excel, press Ctrl-Z on your keyboard or click the Undo button, like any Microsoft application. Instead of deleting this column, if you want to just hide it, select the column by clicking on top and right-click on it. Then click Hide. To unhide or show the column again, select Adjacent Columns. Right-click and click Unhide. Now you can see the column again. In the same way, you can insert new rows, hide and unhide, or delete